I was gonna actually you before anyone else could do it, because that's my job.
Ooh, I identify a lot with Lord Business.
I don't even know what that meme is from.
I don't either. I've seen that image so many times, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. What's up, everyone, and welcome to Last Week in Star Wars. I'm Alex.
I'm Molly.
We're still in a bit of a lull as far as Star Wars news goes, but there was some fun Lego Star Wars talk that came out this past week. We're gearing up for Rebuild the Galaxy Part 2, comes out on September.
Sorry, I'm obsessed. He's so cute.
Is this cuter than standard Grogu?
I don't know. What do you mean? Oh, is Lego Grogu cuter than standard? No, I don't think so.
But still cute.
I'm just so used to seeing the other, like, slightly larger Lego Grogu, so this one's just even teensier. Speaking of not having news to talk about.
Right. But we got our first look at the new villain of Season 2 of Rebuild the Galaxy. His name is Solitis?
I was saying, in my head, I was saying Solitis.
Solitis. Yeah, sure.
Like,
I think Solitis sounds a little more sinister.
Solitis
sounds like a disease.
That's what I was going to say. Like, Solitis is like having a soul is a disease. Which is like that. A good start for an evil villain.
Okay, you've won me over. Solitis it is. The star of Rebuild the Galaxy, Gaten Matarazzo, said, I think I would describe Solitis kind of differently from the first season's villain arc, where Dev is presented as the big bad from the beginning, because there really isn't a tug of war between the good and the light with Solitis. It really is just a pure evil force whose main desire is control and order and completely sterilizing the fun that can be brought to the Star Wars universe, and also the world of Lego Star Wars. There's so much creativity involved with the world that can be built in the sets, so not only does it go to the extent of wanting Lego sets to be built in a very specific way, but also just having them boxed up entirely.
Wait, what was the part about taking the fun out?
It really is just a pure evil force whose main desire is control and order and completely sterilizing the fun that can be brought to the Star Wars universe.
Oh my god, it's like online fandom.
Right. Yeah, I thought this was interesting, just diving into what evil looks like specifically in the Lego Star Wars universe. And it reminds me a lot of the Lego movie that I liked a lot of, things have to be built a specific way, diving into, the Empire and the Sith. They all claim they want order in the midst of chaos.
Right.
This is an interesting spin on that, as if they can put all of these Lego sets back in the box or something.
Yeah, the key is they want control, not necessarily order. They want to be able to control the order.
And kind of stamp down on creativity, I would say.
But yeah, like, the idea of the dark side and things being evil for Lego Star Wars, you gotta lighten it up a little bit. And I love, just making the idea that the villains of Lego Star Wars just want to stamp out all the fun that everyone could potentially be having.
It also reminds me of the Lego Movie 2, where the kid who was playing with the Legos is grown up, so everything is like dark and gritty now, and very serious. And
we're playing with UCS Legos now. Except, no, you don't play with those.
Yeah, I mean, that's me. That's it. Like, the first Lego movie, I was like, ooh, I identify a lot with Lord Business. The father character. I was like, yeah, I mean, I like to build the sets the way they're meant to be built. I haven't just sat and played with Legos in a long time.
And I identified with him in the way that I'd rather just glue them all together if we're just going to have them sit on the shelf forever and ever.
So that's too far for me. I want the option to be creative. I just never actually do it. You had seen another interview or something article where it said Solitis was Jedi Bob's master.
Yeah, I forget where I saw that, but it was like an official post. So that's interesting.
Yeah, so Jedi Bob, I think his backstory, he said he was the first person to mess up the galaxy. So it does kind of make some sense that Solitis was around for like the original galaxy. And then Bob messed it up, and then that's the galaxy we mostly know. And then Sig messed it up. And so now Solitis is like, it's all happening again.
Yeah.
I'm going to get my nunchuck lightsabers.
I was going to bring up the lightsabers because it seems like he's not quite a Sith, because his lightsabers would be red, I assume, if he was a Sith. And he's got two, like, shorter purple lightsabers that are connected with a chain.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. I'm
Which,
always
hey, Solitis, that's pretty fun.
right, yeah. I'm always excited to see new lightsaber designs because we don't see them very often.
And this is another case of like where I'm okay with them going to extremes with lightsaber designs. Lego is the place to have fun with that, or Star Wars Visions, where things just get to be really wild.
There's that clip of Darth Maul
with like 8 blades
where
on
like
either side.
Yeah, so many blades are popping out of his lightsaber.
Exactly.
It's great. It's such a fun universe to play in.
I do love that about Lego Star Wars and all those specials is I love their sense of humor. This seems to be the main place where Lucasfilm and Disney just let everyone have fun with Star Wars, and it's like it doesn't have to be all that serious.
Yeah.
We can crack some jokes at the franchise's expense, but it's still fun.
Yeah. I experienced that firsthand when I was posting about the orange lightsaber that is in
yeah.
the show now. So Sig in this second season has an orange lightsaber, and it's the first official Lego Star Wars orange lightsaber. So I was posting about that, and I got flooded with comments that were like, "Nuh-uh, it's been blah blah blah. It's been Balin's skull. It's been in Legends. It's been this." And I was like, "Guys,
Lego Star Wars.
Calm down."
It said Lego in the post.
But even if it wasn't, like, people are so quick to actually. Right. People, and I guess especially us because of our name. I guess we're asking for it. I don't know. But what do you think about the orange lightsaber?
Yeah, I mean, I thought that was fun. Yeah, the first orange in Lego Star Wars specifically. It's been in Fallen Order and Star Wars Jedi. It was in the Darth Vader comics. Yes, orange has been around, but the fact that I think this is maybe the first time that they said Gaten specifically requested an orange lightsaber for Sig. Mm-hmm. I don't know how often that happens anymore. I feel like Samuel L. Jackson set a precedent of saying like, I want this color of lightsaber and you're going to give me purple.
They were like, guys, we got the kid from Stranger Things. Give him whatever he wants. Mm-hmm. If you think about all the Lego Star Wars sets that they've sold, that piece isn't a hard piece to add to the collection, but it is a big deal that it never truly officially existed until now.
I liked seeing people... Lego Star Wars fans specifically, they weren't doing the actually thing in the post. They were like, finally orange, because Balin and Shin's minifigures came with red.
Yeah.
And so they're like, okay, now we're going to get an orange blade. Great. I'm already expecting someone's going to go into our comments here and be like, well, Shin and Balin have red orange. And it's like...
That's what I was about to say. I was going to actually you before anyone else could do it, because that's my job. Uh-huh. They're listed as either blood orange or like red orange, which is like, okay, come on.
Yeah. We're really splitting hairs here.
But I understand why they are describing it that way, because those sabers were not truly orange.
Yeah, but they weren't like fully red either.
Us Star Wars fans like to get... really particular about things, so it makes sense that it was listed that way. Anyways, orange lightsabers, hot topic.
Well, since we're talking about Lego Star Wars, I was just going to jump straight to a question instead of save it for the end, but Lightsaber Josh asked, what Lego Star Wars thing would we want to become canon? Is there anything from Rebuild the Galaxy or any of the other specials that we like and would want to pull in? Because... the way I see Lego Star Wars is that it's kind of a goofy version of something that actually happened in Star Wars, the main universe. Not so much Rebuild the Galaxy, because I don't think that there's a cornerstone somewhere that you could just like... I mean, maybe the Force is crazy, but yeah. I don't really consider Rebuild the Galaxy canon adjacent so much. But the like Summer Vacation special or the Lego Holiday special, I'm like... yeah, I think some elements of this could be things that happened in canon, just like much less silly.
Yeah. I mean, I think first and foremost, I would just like to see some similar humor brought into canon Star Wars things, but that's kind of a cop-out answer. I think it was Summer Vacation where they had Finn specifically talking about training to become a Jedi and talking to Force Ghost Obi-Wan. And I thought that was great. And you know, like, they haven't done a whole lot with Finn's character post episode 9. We are getting that book soon. So who's to say they won't talk about some stuff like that? But I also feel like the ability to chit-chat with Force ghosts a little more often would be fun.
That is the first thing I was going to bring up too, is I love that conversation where Obi-Wan says, I'm here because I sensed a Jedi in need, and Finn's like, oh, let me go get Rey, and he's like, no, you.
Yeah.
And just hearing that confirmation that Finn is in Jedi training, he's considered to be a Jedi by a former Jedi. I really liked that. So I'm hoping that that's something that we will continue to expand upon maybe in the Finn and Janna book.
Mm-hmm.
I also, from Summer Vacation, like at the end that we see Ben Solo's Force Ghost.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. He became one with the Force. I think that he would have that ability, but we just haven't seen it. So a Ben Solo Force Ghost would be nice.
And it's kind of hard to do, right? Like, you really have to make it work for, like, animation or Lego, because chances are you're not getting some of these live action movie stars to reprise a role just to be a Force ghost. Like, I don't know if Adam Driver would do that, maybe?
I don't know. Like, yeah, they didn't give Ben any lines as a Force ghost.
Yeah.
I think that story had, like, a younger Ben Solo story. But Kelly Marie Tran, she came back to provide the voice. So, yeah, I think it's just, availability, whether or not they want to come back. But
like in books and comics and future animated things, I would love to see more Force ghosts.
I'm still a little iffy on just everyone getting to be a Force ghost, which I don't really think they have said that that's the case.
Yeah,
now.
I don't think that either. I just think we could see that more often.
Interesting. I don't know. I think I'm kind of...
What is it that you don't like about seeing more Force ghosts? Does it make it less special?
I think it's more that they are very powerful, being one with the cosmic force, and it just raises questions more and more of, like, why aren't they just around all the time? Which you can headcanon away, and they've even kind of talked about they prefer to be part of the cosmic force. They only show up when absolutely necessary, but it's kind of like the Eagles in Lord of the Rings, or like you have these big problem-solving things that only show up to solve problems when they absolutely have to.
Yeah, I mean, they're not really there to solve the problem, though. They're there to offer support and, like, encouragement.
Which is kind of like Gandalf. Like, that was his job, is to support the men and the free peoples of Middle-earth in the fight against Sauron.
Okay, maybe it's something... I'm working through my feelings here on it. Maybe it's something more like, instead of having more Force ghosts around, you can just have Jedi meditating to a point where they can kind of commune with the past a little bit.
That'd be interesting. Yeah, I mean, I really liked all the times that Obi-Wan was trying to communicate with Qui-Gon in the Kenobi show.
Whoever they're communicating with, despite them being part of one with the cosmic force, like, they're not going to just tell people what the future is. That, they can only tell people, like, what the past has been and offer up encouragement.
That is another thing of, like, the Force ghosts live outside of space and time, so they could theoretically tell someone exactly what to do, but they won't. And
I think that's a 3 strikes you're out kind of deal with
the cosmic force. The wills kick you out.
The cosmic force gives you a couple warnings, and then you're not allowed to be a Force ghost anymore.
Don't you tell them about the future.
If you're just, like, giving away all the sports almanac scores to everyone.
What about, like, Darth Jar Jar? Or is there anything really wacky from Rebuild the Galaxy that you would want to see?
I gotta say, I don't think this would work out well, but I do kind of like the idea of, like, a Lego, or not Lego, but like a Star Wars multiverse where there are Darth so-and-so, like, dark side versions of Jedi, not in the sense that it is a real place or thing, but, like, if we saw people having more visions of, like, what could happen, kind of like in that comic, the Jedi Knight comic, where Yoda kind of has a vision and he sees, like, a dark side version of Yoda. something more like that, where it's not a real threat, but it's like a vision that people would have.
I wonder if Visions, Star Wars Visions, could spawn off into that. Like right now it's all animation, but I do think that that is kind of like a Star Wars multiverse of just a what if Star Wars were like this, and maybe that could spin off into like an Elseworlds. They used to do what if comics basically, where there was a light side Darth Vader, and it's not,
and that's what Lego's doing,
right? I don't know that just because Marvel is doing that and they're all like starting to collide, I feel like if Star Wars opened up the multiverse can of worms, there'd always be that temptation to then have all the different versions of Luke and Han bump into each other or something.
Right. Well, that's why I think if this were to happen for Star Wars, we've talked about this before, like, should there be a what if in Star Wars like Marvel did? But I think it could exist in the way that it's like new Legends material.
Yeah.
It's like definitely not canon. It's not part of canon storytelling whatsoever. It is literally 100% a what if situation. So it's completely separate. But for Star Wars, it's been around for forever. You know, we've told stories across thousands and thousands of years. I think we're getting to the point where, like Visions and Lego, we're starting to get these pieces that are a little more loosey-goosey with Star Wars storytelling. And I like that. I think that gives people kind of an extra outlet of creativity to bring in to the fandom. But I don't want it to be something where it's like fans are like, well, why can't we get that instead of this? But they're going to do that anyways.
I think that as long as they branded that well and had a big like what if across the cover or something to signify like this isn't canon, it's just a fun, cool story. Next up, for not really news, but we had a lot of people asking us what we thought of the Kenobi Season 2 rumors, which honestly I hadn't even heard as a thing until when we were doing our Lego stream.
Well, you're not on social media.
Yeah.
So you didn't see.
But I mean, have you been seeing rumors swirling around?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, okay. I looked into it a little bit, and I think that this is all kind of coming. I saw some leaker was bringing stuff back up saying that Season 2 is in development, which could mean anything. But I did go back to October of 2024 and to LA Comic-Con. Ewan McGregor did say, obviously between the end of Obi-Wan Kenobi and when Alec Guinness is Obi-Wan Kenobi, there's got to be another few stories in there. We're definitely hoping, or well, exploring that, I think would be the word to say. So I do think that there is a level of development for Obi-Wan Kenobi Season 2, but I would not... I feel like people place a lot of importance on that word, or more importance than needs to be. Development could just mean we're talking about it, we're exploring it. It doesn't mean it's definitely happening or in production or anything like that.
Yeah, and I would assume if this were to happen, Ewan would be heavily involved.
Yes.
So he would know, I guess, as well as anyone else. So yeah, this just sounds like old news being recycled, which happens a lot.
Yeah, especially when stuff is slow and people just want to drum up something.
Yeah. Normally, this will start from like leakers or scoopers or whatever you want to call them, and then it'll get picked up by all the like blue check mark Twitter accounts who are just trying to make money by getting their posts to go viral, and then that's what gets shared by everyone. It's like something like that gets tweeted, and then it gets like 1,000 retweets, and then people will just come across it and see it and believe it.
Yeah, that's what gets me, is that just people assume it's true now. And I was like, what are people even talking about? I mean, I keep an eye on the Star Wars Leaks subreddit, because they actually seemed like they weren't talking about this at all. And so to me, that says, okay, this isn't anything new. I still don't know who the source is, so it's probably not a legitimate source.
Yeah. I would say Yeah, if it's not on Star Wars Leaks subreddit, or if it's not being commented on by like Hollywood Reporter, Variety, places like that, I wouldn't give it much thought.
That's when I Googled like Kenobi season 2 rumors, a Forbes.com article popped up that referenced that LA Comic-Con thing. So I'm like, okay, yeah, there's probably an element of truth to their talking about potential ideas, but if this is going to be a thing, we're not seeing it anytime soon.
Yeah. And I think the bigger issue here is when old news like this gets recycled and brought up again and again, it just kind of like sets up these expectations for the people that believe the rumors. They're like, all right, great, we're getting Obi-Wan season 2, and they go about their day. And then when they find out that's not happening, they're like, oh man, Star Wars just can't get anything right, can they?
Yeah, and that's just, even when Hollywood Reporter or Variety or anyone talks about stuff like that, I'm still like, okay, but I'll wait for the StarWars.com announcement.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of news articles that come out by places like Hollywood Reporter and Variety that are just rumors still, but at least we know that if the bigger publications are willing to put it out, it's from a sort of reputable source.
It's stuff that I think that they do have a source, like the James Mangold Boba Fett film. That was something that came out, and then James Mangold confirmed it later. Mm-hmm. So it's stuff that, like that, yeah, that was in development, but it wasn't going to definitely happen.
There's so much in development at any given point in any given fandom or IP or whatever.
Yeah, and I think Star Wars gets so scrutinized, and you hear something's in development, and then people are like, yeah, it falls through, and people get all upset, and it's like, well, it was just in development. Like, things are in development all over Hollywood, and not all those projects get made.
Right.
Star Wars is exploring, I'm sure, dozens of ideas.
Yeah. People love to say, you know, Star Wars is dead. The Rey movie is dead. Some of those projects were never alive, right? They just get shelved, or like the thought process just doesn't go all the way through. That
on the flip side,
happens.
I will point out that there have been several official announcements that have come through StarWars.com or Lucasfilm itself that did not pan out. So there is that too. And that is frustrating.
How many have there been now? Because it was, what, the Rian Johnson trilogy.
Benioff Weiss
trilogy? Or movie?
Or maybe just a movie. I can't remember at this point.
Rogue Squadron movie.
The Rangers of the New Republic.
The
Lando Project, which was going to be a series. Now it's a movie, but we haven't heard about it in a while. Donald Glover occasionally is talking about it.
I think that will still happen, but maybe
that's in a weird limbo right now.
Maybe it's just on the back burner while, Disney figures out how to make money again. Taika's project, which according to Kathleen Kennedy is still on the table.
But yeah, there's a lot of projects that were announced, fell through, or are just kind of nebulous right now, and we don't know.
But it's less than 10 things, which I don't think is that many.
I don't know if that's a lot. I mean, I do think that that's a lot of things that they have announced and then it just didn't happen.
Yeah.
Things that get put out on the rumor mill that then don't happen, that's different. Mm-hmm. Moving into last week in canon, we got 2 new comic issues this past week in Jedi Knights and in Codebreaker. And you read them both again.
I did it.
Yay.
I'm trying to keep up. When there's only 1 or 2 releases in a week, that's better for me.
Which one of those did you like more?
I think the Jedi Knight issue 5.
I did too. So this takes place a little before the Phantom Menace. Dooku has already left the Order at this time. He's basically working for the Trade Federation, kind of publicly. Yaddle finds out about it and he's not hiding things. But through all of that, he gets captured by some criminals, and Yaddle and her friend have to go rescue him. And I like that Yaddle does a little meditating and senses something weird going on with Dooku. She knows there's darkness around him, but she also knows that he has some part to play in the grand destiny of the galaxy, and she's like, I have to go save him. Yeah. I know that I have to.
This issue was hard to read at times just because knowing what happens between Dooku and Yaddle and how he ends up killing her, there's a lot of sort of foreshadowing, I guess, but like there's a lot of Yaddle just kind of sensing weird things, weird vibes from Dooku, but then insisting that they save him.
Yeah, it was definitely written to be extra tragic. I mean, they even show it in the first pages of the comic, Yaddle's death at Dooku's hand.
Which is good, because not everyone may have seen that episode of Tales of the Jedi, so if you're going to read the comic, they put it right up front of like, this is how Yaddle dies, and it's super sad.
Like, if you hadn't seen that, and you're just like, what in the world?
Wait, what?
Yaddle was, if you were a big like Legends fan, Yaddle had most of her story told in comics, so it would be funny if you just like stuck to Star Wars comics only for years, and you're like, huh?
Yeah, there's a particular frame, and I don't know if this was purposeful or not.
I don't think it was.
I like to think that it was, but there's a particular frame where Newt Gunray is kind of like doing this, and the Rodian is like pointing a finger, and it very much reminded me of the angry cat meme.
And the lady yelling at it.
Yeah. I don't even know what that meme is from.
I don't either. I've seen that image so many times, and I'm like, I don't even know what this is. The second comic that came out was Codebreaker issue 2. In this one, Poe is trying to gain control of a code-breaking device that the First Order has been using. Turns out that device is actually just a very smart child named Cheka. So the two of them are trying to escape, and in this, she is definitely giving burns out. Those are some burns towards Poe Dameron.
Yeah, she's kind of criticizing him along the entire way, but she's like a super, super smart, like kind of mathematically nerdy kid, and is able to do all these like intensely difficult calculations in her head.
Very similar to Tech.
Yes.
I don't know. I thought it was a little bit like, yeah, it's going to be a kid. I mean, I think that some of the covers had come out. It just didn't seem that surprising to me. And just between The Bad Batch and The Mandalorian, and just, I know this is just a mini series, but like, okay, the hero protecting a kid on the run. I get it.
Yeah. But this kid like knows why they're special.
That's true.
And is proud of it.
Yeah, it definitely is like, I'm smart and I know it. I do like the Banshee of Bestine. That's the First Order ace pilot that is kind of the main villain of this series. And in this one, they bump into Major Von Reg from Star Wars Resistance, and they butt heads a lot. Yeah. I did like that interaction quite a bit.
They're like, we don't know who's doing this. And he's like, well, I know, and I've done all this research already, and now you look dumb.
Yeah, very competitive.
Yeah, that was cool to see him pop up.
No other comics came out this week, but there was a new collection announced for Young Jedi Adventures called Training Sessions, which is going to be a collection of 3 stories. And 2 of them were already released in free comic book days from the past 2 years. And then one of them is going to be a brand new story. All of them with art by friend of the channel, Andy Duggan. So that's cool. That's exciting.
Always excited for Young Jedi Adventures news. And cool that it's going to come out in a hardcover.
And it's going to come out in November.
Any new Nubs content is good.
But moving into last week in questions, we took a couple more from our Patreon. And speaking of, we are finally releasing our Andor watch-alongs. The first one, I think, came out today and will be coming out every week until we get through season 2. But for our first question, Sarah Black asks if the vergences we see in Trials of the Jedi and the Acolyte are setting up more Vergent stories and weird Force stuff. I think, I don't know, yes and no. I don't think that the Acolyte and Trials of the Jedi are specifically setting up the future to be like, ooh, more Vergent stories are coming. I think that it's just, if the story needs a Vergence, it'll have a Vergence. I mean, like, there was a Qui-Gon issue of the Age of Republic comics that I think he found a Vergence because that's what that issue needed. Star Wars doesn't do the whole Marvel Cinematic Universe thing where every new project is building to the next one and hinting at what's to come.
Yeah. And I think at this point, the idea of a Vergence in Star Wars is just kind of a storytelling mechanic where if they need something kind of weird and wacky to happen in Star Wars, I don't know, it's a Vergence. Weird stuff happens.
Exactly. And I definitely think we're going to see weird Force stuff happen in Ahsoka Season 2.
Yeah.
Like, I think that we're building up to more Mortis connections, so things are going to be weird, but I don't necessarily think that Trials of the Jedi was written to hint towards the future.
No. I enjoy when we get weird Force-related stuff. So, like, dark side caves, vergences, anything like that is kind of a way for whoever's writing that story to be a little bit more creative and Twilight Zone-y with Star Wars in a way that it's not going to mess with canon too much, but it's an ability to introduce kind of some strange elements.
Right. I mean, that's the dark side cave is a vergence. There are tons of vergences in Star Wars, so yeah, I think that anytime someone just wants something weird to happen, it's kind of The Simpsons, like, a wizard did it, or if you have any questions, a wizard did it. Like, if you have any questions, the Force did it, or a vergence did it, or something.
Mm-hmm.
But that's it for last week in Star Wars. Next week, we will be covering any news that pops up, as well as Legacy of Vader Issue 6. If you haven't already, please like this video, subscribe to the channel.
Follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Blue Sky.
And consider checking out our Patreon page. As always, thanks for watching, and may the Force be with you.